At Central Texas Electric Cooperative, keeping the lights on safely and reliably isn't just our goal, it's our responsibility. One of the most important ways we do that is inspecting and maintaining the thousands of power poles across our service territory.
We inspect poles on a regular cycle. Every year, thousands of them are checked. Our team looks for signs of wear, damage from storms, insect issues, or any other structural weakness. We use a combination of visual inspections, sounding hammers, and in some cases more advanced testing tools. Here's what a typical pole inspection looks like. First, we visually assess the pole from top to bottom, looking for cracks, leaning, or any hardware issues. Then we use a hammer or a sounding tool to tap around the base. A hollow or dull sound can point to internal rot. If needed, we bore a small hole to test the interior wood. In certain areas, we might apply preservatives to extend the pole's life. Some of this work is done by our own CTEC crews. We also partner with contractors like Texas Utilities to help cover the ground faster and more efficiently.
Pole inspections are part of our ongoing work plan. It's how we stay ahead of problems before they turn into outages or other issues. And it's not just the poles themselves. Vegetation around them matters too. Trees and brush growing too close to power lines increase the risk of outages and wildfires.
Vegetation management plays a vital role in our wildfire prevention efforts. A recent wildfire in our service area underscored just how critical this work is. Although our infrastructure was not the cause, the fire still had the potential to impact it. Once it was safe to enter the area, we had boots on the ground inspecting every pole within the fire zone. Even if a pole appears undamaged externally, the intense heat can compromise its internal integrity. Therefore, we visually inspected each one to ensure it was safe and up to our standards. It's hard, detailed work, but it's essential to restoring power safely and preventing future issues. That's why we work with Townsend Tree Service to manage vegetation and ensure right-of-way stay clear and hazard-free. In the past year alone, we mowed and trimmed over 892,000 feet of line, which is equivalent to maintaining more than 165 miles of right-of-way. These efforts are essential in mitigating the risk of wildfires and preventing potential outages. CTEC has over 150,000 poles on our system, across more than 7,000 miles of line. Annually, our teams inspect approximately 7,500 of these poles. Based on these inspections, we typically identify around 300 poles that require either repairs or full replacement. These figures are critical in developing our annual work plan and ensuring accurate budgeting for the necessary maintenance and infrastructure updates.
Safety is at the heart of everything we do. Our crews and contractors follow strict safety protocols when working around poles, lines, and vegetation. That protects them and it protects our members.
Replacing a pole starts with coordination. We first identify the location and plan for any service interruptions. Then we set up traffic control or safety barriers if needed. The crew foreman then conducts what is called a tailboard session to review what each crew member will be responsible for during the process. When he is finished, each team member signs a document to indicate that he understands his responsibility. Now it is time for work to begin. The first thing that every crew member does is to put on the appropriate safety gear that is required for his task. It is important to know that the lineman working in the bucket is in close proximity to electrical lines carrying at least 7,200 volts of electricity. Since these wires have to be removed, they are completely covered in insulated protective material so the lineman can move it out of the way of the workspace. Now it is time to remove the old pole. This is done with a hydraulic boom on the digger truck. The pole is pulled until it is loosened to the point that it can be withdrawn from the hole. Eventually, the old pole is carefully lifted out of the hole and brought down to ground level so that any remaining equipment or hardware that remains can be removed. Finally, the removed pole is securely attached to the digger truck to be returned to one of our material yards for responsible disposal. Now it is time to set the new pole in place. But first, the hole is cleaned out of any soil that may have fallen into it during removal. The new pole is raised upright with precision by the digger truck's boom and slowly lowered into the hole. The crew will make adjustments to make sure it is perfectly upright. When the pole is fully upright, a lineman uses a plumb bob to make sure it is level. When it is correctly positioned, the crew refills the hole with soil and uses a hydraulic tamp to make sure it is packed tight. Finally, the electric wires are securely attached to the new pole. All of the protective gear is removed and stowed, and as they say, another job is in the books. As the crew drives away, they are aware that the electric pole that they just set will provide electricity to Central Texas Electric members for the next 25 to 30 years. Here's to a job well done.
Pole inspections may not seem exciting, but they play an important role to help keep your power on, your service reliable, and your community safer. Thank you for trusting us to do the work behind the scenes so you don't have to think twice when you flip the switch.